All right, it's 11:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to session 5 of CareerForce and More for Employers. I am filling in for the wonderful Liz Jennings today. I know I got big shoes to fill today, so bear with me, but we have a great session for you today. Like I said, today is the final session of the CareerForce and More for Employers series. So we hope that you enjoyed all of the wonderful information the last 5 weeks that has been shared. Today, we're going to be focusing on working with veterans and disability employer services. So we have some great speakers today to talk about those topics. If you missed any of the sessions, you want to re-watch those. All of the recordings are on the CareerForce and More for Employers page on careerforcemn.com. I'll make sure to put that link in the chat so you can go ahead and check out that page, check out some of those other sessions, and we will be recording today's session as well, and that should be posted in the next couple of days on the website. Before I get started, I just wanted to welcome everybody. My name is Heather Anderson. Like I said, I will be filling in for Liz Jennings today. I wanted to give a quick shout out that if you want to connect to any of our CareerForce specialists, please visit the careerforcemn.com page, Meet Your Regional Team. I'm going to put that link here right in the chat. It's a great way to connect with the specialists in your area that's working with CareerForce. All right, and so to kick things off today, we're going to be talking about veteran hiring, and Shannon Sprouse, our Veterans Employment Representative, will be discussing all of great topics today. And then after that, we have disability hiring with Marcy Jasper, who is our Vocational Rehabilitation Services Employment Specialist. So I'm going to kick things off here over to Shannon.
Hi, thank you, Heather, and hello, everybody. My name is Shannon Sprouse, and I am a Veterans Employment Rep with the state of Minnesota. So I connect veterans to jobs with military-friendly companies and serve as a general resource for recruiters when it comes to finding vets. One of the biggest challenges I see is how hard it can be for vets to translate their military experience into applicable skills and abilities that companies want. And as a result, qualified vets get passed over at that initial screening, the initial resume screening. Now, we work with our veterans a lot to address this issue, but can only impact those that accept our help. And that leaves a lot of veterans in Minnesota that aren't getting any assistance. So the purpose of this session, for my portion, is to talk about resources your company can use to evaluate military experience, as well as get your name out in front of those job-seeking veterans. Next. So first, is military experience relevant? Well, it generally instills practical knowledge gained through real-world situations. Service members are exposed to many different people, cultures, walks of life, and beliefs as they serve with others from not just around the country, but throughout the world. Some of the soft skills service members bring to the job include attention to detail, adaptability, able to problem solve, responsibility, organizational skills, self-discipline, and dependability. And that's, just a few. But military training and education is also robust, thorough, and accredited. You may be surprised to know that the training received in the military is accepted at most colleges and universities and can satisfy general credits as well as degree-specific courses. Not only does this training provide high proficiency in a number of general, tangible skills, but the occupational specific training prepares service members to effectively do their job as soon as they arrive to their first assignment. This specialized training can range from as little as 4 weeks to over a year, and in some cases, much longer. Now you can see from the word cloud on the right of the slide, a number of different job titles, all of which are positions that exist in the military, and many are directly transferable to civilian employment without additional training, education, or certifications. So to answer the question, is military experience relevant? Yes, absolutely. If schools like Harvard and Yale count military experience and training towards college credit, then employers should feel confident knowing that veterans have the abilities and skills that they need. Next slide, please. So how can companies be more accommodating towards military training and experience? First, try to be more forgiving when reviewing resumes and understand the challenges our service members face. Take the time to maybe look up the military jargon or the acronyms that you might see, um, maybe overlook some simple formatting issues, or even reconsider the experience requirements. If a company has a veteran recruitment strategy, then being competent with military culture is a must. This can be done through online courses, meeting with nonprofits and service providers, as well as utilizing state resources. There are a number of subject matter experts that recruiting staff can lean on to assist. Veterans employment reps like myself, we're all happy to help. Current employees that are veterans or serving in the reserves or National Guard at your company, they can also help with understanding military culture better, assist with creating job posters, flyers, or other recruitment content. You could consider giving the candidate the opportunity to explain how their experience relates. Just have a quick screening call to find out. Now, we've also created a military career lookup tool on the CareerForce website that might be helpful. Next slide. So you start by going to www.careerforcemn.com/veterans. When you do, this is what you see: a section for veterans and a section for employers. Click on resources for employers. Next slide. The top section of the page lists various resources that you might find useful, but scroll down further for the military career lookup tool. Next. The military career lookup tool was created to help you learn how military experience and training can compare to the qualifications required for your positions. From the drop-down menu, select the branch of service and then enter a job code, job title, or a keyword. Now, some keywords won't pull up any results, so try variations. Likewise, some job titles might not show up because they might no longer be applicable. They might have changed. But you can also just look up the exact title online. Next slide. So in this case, I've selected a recruiter in the Army. When you click on Find Career, an option to learn more at an external website will appear. You can see that's highlighted or circled in red. Clicking that link will provide detailed information to include a summary of the job, helpful attributes, a breakdown of duties and tasks, the specific training received, and a short blurb about what the work environment is like. Now, the tool isn't perfect and a number of jobs aren't going to show up. Again, like I mentioned, if they are obsolete or they've been like combined into another job, they might not show up. But doing a web search to find that out can kind of let you know. And when this happens, you'll also be able to click on an advanced search option. Selecting this will allow you to view all of the job fields and click on the most applicable one to learn more. Now, this feature on the CareerForce website will give you a better understanding of the duties, tasks, and training relevant to civilian employment. Next slide. So here's another example, but this one is for an infantry soldier in the Army. So select the branch, the drop-down Army, put in infantryman, and if you put infantry, it'll come out with a bunch of different options. Infantryman, I know it sounds not great, but it is the legitimate job title. So then you come up with that. Click on Learn More. Next slide. And this is the page that you see. I'm sorry, it's a little bit blurry, but you can see at the top there, it's got this whole purpose, basic information, helpful attributes about the job. But then as you look down, you see those gray bars, that first one being what they do. Next slide. Go ahead and click on that. And then that's going to give you a bullet list of, what they generally did in that job. Next slide. Clicking on training provided will give you just the general training that they get. Now, this doesn't include all of specialized training or additional leadership training that they receive as they go up in ranks. things like that. But you can see that this can be a great tool to give you some familiarity with the work experience and training that service members receive. Next. All right, so now we go back to the resources for employers page, back up near the top, and you can see I've circled here this portion about connecting with your local Veterans Employment Representative. This is where you can find a directory of all of the vet reps on our team. Just click on the link, you'll be taken to a page with the state that's broken down into regions. It'd be like the metro regions, Northwest, Central, Southeast, etc. Just find the region that your office is located in, or where your headquarters is in, and then find the vet rep that covers the county that's that your office is in. Reach out. Our email address and phone numbers are all listed there. Next. I also wanted to briefly tell you about the Department of Defense Skill Bridge program. Now, this program gives service members the opportunity to gain valuable civilian work experience through internships during the last 6 months of service. During the program, they continue to be paid by the military and retain all their benefits, while employers get to borrow a service member for a 1 to 6 month internship. The purpose of the program is to bridge the gap between military service and civilian employment by connecting service members with industry partners in real-world job experiences. Employers benefit from the Skill Bridge program by having early access to highly trained and motivated service members that are transitioning into the workforce. They're able to create a program that meets their specific workforce needs. And it also gives employers the opportunity to evaluate the service member's suitability for the work. There is absolutely no risk and no cost to participate in this program for the employer. Remember, the military pays all the individual's wages throughout the internship. The Department of Defense wants the best possible outcomes for our service members. Our biggest challenge with veterans in Minnesota isn't unemployment, it's underemployment. So this program helps our service members find careers with good pay, benefits, and opportunities for advancement, just like they had in the military. The web address there is skillbridge.osd.mil, M-I-L. You can also easily find it by doing a web search. Just SkillBridge, DoD SkillBridge program, easy to find. Next. Applying to become a SkillBridge industry partner is pretty simple. Just go to the Industry Partners/Employers tab, click on the information topics to learn more, and you'll also need to attend an information session, and 2 are fortunately coming up in the next few weeks, with registration for the June 5th session opening up tomorrow. So hopefully you go back to this website and you register tomorrow as soon as it opens up. Now, if you want to recruit for service members that are coming off of active duty, this is a great option. I really do hope you'll consider becoming a SkillBridge industry partner. Remember to also take advantage of the military career lookup tool at careerforcemn.com/veterans. And most importantly, stay connected to your Veterans Employment Representative. Next slide. Feel free to email me at the address above, shannon.sprouse@state.mn.us. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about any of this information, about SkillBridge, about utilizing that tool, about any of the other resources that we have. And I can also help to get you connected to the correct Veterans Employment Rep if you have a question about that too. I appreciate your time. Next up is Marcy Jasper, and she's going to tell you all about disability hiring resources. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Shannon. As Shannon said, I'm Marcy Jasper. I'm with Vocational Rehab Services, which is a department under DEED. So we're going to start by just going over a couple of statistics here. The 2010 census reported that 1 in 5 Americans have at least one diagnosable disability. However, more recent data reflects that among the U.S. total population, 1 in 4 Americans actually have a disability, and that a large portion of people with disabilities are still unemployed or underemployed. Great news is actually though, since COVID, which one of the good things that came out of it was people with disabilities are getting jobs at the highest rate actually than they ever have. So great news for that. Next slide. Now let's look at disability prevalence when it comes to Minnesota. The CDC reports that almost 22% of Minnesotans have some type of disability as compared to 25% nationally. We like to note here that researchers and data analysts make it clear that it is difficult to really capture the number of people with disabilities and that the statistics can vary depending on many factors, which includes the survey type, how disability is defined, who's being counted, and whether it's the total population versus the labor force population, and so on. Most statistics show that the national rate is between 20 and 25% of the total population. So while some disabilities are congenital, many are a result of an accident, injury, disease, or just simply aging. So to put that simply, it is the one minority group that we can potentially join at any time. Next slide. Oh. Back, 2 more slides. There we go. So going to talk about who Vocational Rehab Services is. We also have State Services for the Blind, which is our sister agency. So it's all about jobs for both Vocational Rehab Services, or VRS, and SSB. Employers are the key. We need relationships with employers in order for these jobs to happen with us. So we're agencies within the Department of Employment and Economic Development, and we assist businesses in connecting with qualified candidates. Our goal is to understand the business needs, create partnerships, and help them tap into a great source of talent. We also provide consultation, information, data, and resources to employers that might help in making decisions about recruiting, hiring, and promoting employees with disabilities. VRS and SSB are voluntary programs, so people come to our agencies because they want to work. The individuals we serve range from students in high school seeking entry-level work to skilled, experienced professionals with advanced degrees. VRS assists individuals with all types of disabilities, including deaf and hard of hearing, while State Services for the Blind assists people who are blind, have low vision, and they help them prepare for, find, and retain employment. Next slide. We're often asked by employers, what sort of industries or occupations do folks with disabilities get into? So we have compiled a list here over the last several years of where our folks are getting employment. And as you can see, it's office administration, food preparation, healthcare, education, transportation, production. So really a variety. Folks with disabilities, because 1 in 4 people have a disability, there's folks with disabilities in every occupation out there. Next slide. So partnering with Voc Rehab Services and State Services for the Blind. Helping businesses recruit qualified candidates is one of the primary ways that we partner with businesses. We also work with employers to set up tours, informational interviews, and job shadows so individuals can learn more about the businesses and different career fields. VRS and SSB offer paid on-the-job work opportunities such as job tryouts, internships, so individuals can try a position or obtain on-the-job skills. We also consult with you about your current employees with disabilities and retention strategies. We work extensively with youth in high school and transition programs to assist with career exploration and paid work experiences. With the youth, it becomes very important with those tours and job shadows and informational interviews to get them out there to really see what's out there. Our services are available throughout Minnesota. Next slide. So let's take a look at, when you're on the CareerForce site, how you can find more information out regarding disability resources. So if you're on the CareerForce site and you click on For Employers, then click in Tailored Resources, we're going to be down there where you see Disability Resources. As you can see from this slide, there's on that first page even, there's a lot of information. Get help hiring people with disabilities, learning about accommodations, bite-sized learning modules, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Explore recruiting, hiring, retaining, and promoting people with disabilities. So lots of information just on this first page. Next slide. Also under there, we get a lot of questions as how, from employers of how do I create a welcoming workplace? How do I create an inclusive workplace at my place of business? So here's just a couple things we have on there as far as disability discrimination, talking a lot about kind of the ADA and FMLA and all of that stuff. And then also after that is reasonable accommodations. And next slide goes into the next slide too. So there's a lot of information on there just regarding reasonable accommodation. The last thing on there, and we'll talk about this at the end too, is the Job Accommodation Network, which is a national resources for employers to provide support and information. And I'll touch a little bit more on the Job Accommodation Network a little bit later. It's a fabulous, fabulous resource we have. Next thing I'll go over is our disability inclusion bite-sized learning modules. So again, under the CareerForce, under disability inclusion, so we put these together with people with disabilities. So they are 5 different modules that we have right now on various topics when it comes to disability. And they're just short little snippets for employers to take into a team meeting or take to a lunch and learn, anywhere from 15 minutes to a half hour. You get the PowerPoint with it. You actually can stop the modules at any time too. And we have some questions that you can talk to the team about. So they were really meant to take these in to businesses to kind of help your staff, again, just as they are called bite-sized learning. Then what the goal is that you guys have more questions and need more training, and then you reach out to us and we are more than happy to come in and guide you with more training. Next slide. So some of these modules include, like module 1 is defining disability and the Americans with Disabilities Act. Module 2 is recognizing and implementing a request for reasonable accommodation. As I said, on each one of them is the video, a takeaway card, and the PowerPoint presentation. Module 3 is self-ID, building a more inclusive culture. Module 4 is inclusive communication. Module 5 is mental health matters. Let's talk. Highly suggest to go into the CareerForce, dig into these a little bit. Don't have to do them in order. You can pick one, take any of them. We are in talks of providing more of these because they are really helpful, just being real kind of short snippets. But there's lots of resources on all of these in these videos too. So the Employer Reasonable Accommodation Fund, for folks that don't know what that is, it's a 2-year pilot program for small to mid-sized employers to request reimbursement for expenses relating to providing reasonable accommodations for job applicants and employees with disabilities. It's a new fund that just started last September. And many small and mid-sized businesses worry about the cost of providing reasonable accommodations. And so now through the Department of Employment and Economic Development's, we call it the ERAF fund. It's small to mid-sized Minnesota employers can request reimbursement for expenses related to providing reasonable accommodations for job applicants and employees with disabilities. It's simple, it's easy, and it connects great workers with great businesses like yours. A lot of times when you work with government and it can take a long time to get funding and get reimbursed for this, with this, it's actually a very quick process, very little paperwork. It's a great program that we have here. So visit the website on here or contact that number or email the ERAF staff by phone or email. They'll walk you through the kinds of accommodations that are covered, the process, or any other assistance that you may need. Lastly is just some more disability hiring resources on this page. Finding your rights, learning about assistance for living independently, work and disability benefits. A lot of people have questions regarding that, and there's some great opportunities or options on this page to learn about all of that. So lastly, here is, again, just some pages of disability resources. So the bite-sized learning, the first square is, we chatted about that. ADA Minnesota is another one. The ADA Minnesota advances statewide awareness of and guidance on the Americans with Disabilities Act. It also offers one-on-one assistance, either in person, online, or by telephone. Deed State Services for the Blind is on there, talked about them. The STAR program. It's a system of technology to achieve results is what that stands for. It's actually within our state, it's in the Department of Administration. They house it, and it can provide low or no cost assistive technology to employees with disabilities to make it easier or possible for them to do their job. So you can actually reach out to them and get on loan some of these assistive technology options and see if it works for the individual. And if it doesn't, you just keep trying. And then we talked about DEED, that's Vocational Rehab Services is who I work for. And lastly, the Job Accommodation Network. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a leading source of free, expert, and confidential guidance on workplace accommodations and disability employment issues. It provides practical solutions that benefit both the employer and the employee. It helps people with disabilities enhance their employability, and it shows employers how to capitalize on the value and talent that people with disabilities add to the workplace. There's a lot of trainings on that that you can go into, and Jan will actually do trainings to your businesses if you are interested. So that website is askjan.org. Highly suggest you go in and dig into that. Great resource and accommodations on there. So thank you for your time today. Please reach out if you're interested in hiring people with disabilities, if you need any sort of training, or if you simply just have any sort of questions regarding disability employment. I'd love to chat with you. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Shannon and Marcy, for sharing all of that information with us today. If anybody has any questions for Shannon or Marcy, please enter those in the chat and we'll try to get to those before the end of the webinar. Before we wrap up, Tom, did you have anything that you wanted to share with us today?
Excuse me. Thank you, Heather. To the group that's participating today, just wanted to do a big shout out to particularly those of you that hung with us for the 5 weeks. A couple of weeks ago, I presented on relationship recruitment. Well, both Shannon and Marcy represent talent pools. And so as employers, I hope that you would exercise that opportunity to connect with both of their programs to be able to access talent that is sometimes undiscovered until you reach out. So just wanted to make that point. Absolutely enjoyed the time together in these last 5 weeks, and feel free to connect with Liz Jennings or myself, and we're more than happy to guide you through the process of how to connect with our staff and community partners. Thanks, Heather.
Great. Thank you so much, Tom. I don't see any questions that have come in, but all of our contact information was shared, and I put all of those links and resources in the chat today. I do want to just, if you have any questions on how to connect to any of these resources, or to connect with anybody within CareerForce, please reach out to the CareerForce Information and Assistance line. You can, their phone number is right there on that slide, or you can send them an email at careerforce@state.mn.us. At the end of today's webinar, you will be receiving a very brief survey. This is our last session, so we would appreciate anybody and all of you filling that survey out. It's just a quick couple of questions that will kind of help us prepare for the next round of these sessions. So thank you everyone for coming to our last session 5 of CareerForce and More for Employers. We appreciate everyone who attended most of these sessions and all of the participants who gave all of the information out on all of these sessions. And I will be sending I'm going to wrap up this recording here, but that recording again will be on careerforcemn.com on the CareerForce and More for Employers page. And I just put that link in the chat as well. But thank you, everybody. And thank you again, Tom, Shannon, and Marcy. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.